Have you ever noticed how society celebrates the adventurer, the traveler, the person who's always out there, always doing something, always somewhere new? We are told that life happens outside our front door. That real living requires plans, crowds, destinations. But here's something strange. There's an entire population of people who have discovered something the rest of the world keeps missing. They've found richness in staying still, depth in their own four walls. And when they turn down that invitation, when they choose a quiet evening at home over another social obligation, they are not missing out. They are protecting something. The question is, what are they protecting? And why does the world struggle so much to understand them? The misunderstood choice. Let's start with what this isn't about. This isn't about agoraphobia. It's not about social anxiety that traps you indoors, trembling at the thought of the outside world. And it's not about depression that makes leaving your bed feel like climbing a mountain. Those are real conditions. They deserve compassion and treatment. But what we are talking about today is different. We are talking about people who choose to stay home. Not because they are afraid of the world, but because they found something in solitude that the world can't offer them. You know these people. Maybe you are one of these people. The person who seems perfectly charming at social events but turns down most invitations. The colleague who's friendly and competent at work but never joins for after-hours drinks. The friend who's warm and present when you're together, but whose natural habitat is their own living room. Here's the thing. Society has a name for these people, and it's rarely kind. Hermit, recluse, antisocial, boring. But here's what's fascinating. The psychology behind this preference reveals something far more complex than simple avoidance. It reveals a different relationship with energy, with meaning, with the very concept of what it means to feel alive. The energy economy. Let's talk about energy. Not the vague, mystical kind. The real, neurological kind. The kind that determines whether you wake up feeling ready to engage with the world or like you are already running on empty. Psychologist Carl Jung gave us the framework we still use today: introversion and extroversion. But these terms have been so diluted, so misunderstood, that we need to go back to what he actually meant. Extroverts generate energy through external stimulation. Social interaction charges their batteries. A night out with friends doesn't drain them, it fills them. Their nervous system is wired to seek external rewards, external validation, external experiences. Introverts work differently. Their energy comes from within. Social interaction, even positive social interaction, is a withdrawal from their reserve. It's not that they dislike people. It's that being around people costs them something. And here's what the research shows. People who love staying at home aren't just introverts. They are often highly sensitive people, those with what psychologist Elaine Aron calls sensory processing sensitivity. Their nervous systems process stimuli more deeply. That coffee shop conversation you're having? They are not just hearing your words. They are tracking your micro-expressions, feeling the emotional undertones, absorbing the ambient noise, registering the flickering fluorescent light. By the time they get home, they're exhausted. Not because anything bad happened, but because existing in the world requires them to process so much more data than the average person realizes. So when they choose to stay home, they are not being antisocial. They are practicing sophisticated energy management, the architecture of solitude. But the psychology runs deeper than energy conservation. There's something else happening when someone chooses their own space over the external world. Something about control, about authenticity, about the self. Think about what happens when you are out in the world. You are performing. Not in a fake way, necessarily, but you are managing impressions. You are code switching. You are modulating your energy to match the room. You are being the version of yourself that the situation requires. This isn't dishonesty. This is what psychologist Irving Goffman called impression management, and we all do it. It's how social life works. But it's also exhausting. Now think about what happens when you are alone in your home. The performance stops. The mask comes off. You can be weird. You can be silly. You can be silent. You can be exactly as you are without filtering yourself through anyone else's expectations. Home becomes what psychologist Donald Winnicott called a holding environment, a space where the authentic self can emerge without fear of judgment. And this is where it gets interesting. For people who love staying home, this isn't escapism. It's the opposite. Home is where they feel most real. The outside world, with all its demands and performances, starts to feel like the escape from themselves. Home is where they return to themselves. the depth of quiet. Let's talk about what actually happens in all that time alone. Because here's what people who don't understand this lifestyle assume: nothing. They imagine boredom, stagnation, a life on pause while the real living happens elsewhere. But the truth is far more complex. Neuroscience shows us something remarkable about solitude. It activates the brain's default mode network, the neural system responsible for self-reflection, memory consolidation, imagination, and meaning-making. This network doesn't turn on when you are engaged with external stimuli. It turns on when you are alone with your thoughts. People who love staying home aren't doing nothing. They are doing the deep work of being human. They are reading, and actually absorbing what they read rather than skimming. They are creating, writing, painting, coding, building things that require uninterrupted focus. They are thinking through problems, processing emotions, integrating experiences. They are engaging in what psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi called flow states, those periods of deep concentration where time disappears and the work itself becomes rewarding. And flow states require one critical ingredient: solitude. Here's the paradox. The person staying home on Saturday night might be experiencing deeper engagement, more creativity, more genuine joy than the person bar hopping through a dozen superficial interactions. But society only sees the bar hopper as living. The social contradiction. And this is where it gets complex, because people who love staying home aren't necessarily antisocial. In fact, many of them have rich, deep relationships. But these relationships work differently. Research on attachment theory shows us something crucial. Securely attached people don't need constant connection to feel connected. They can hold relationships in their mind even when physically separate. The relationship exists as an internal reality, not just an external action. People who love staying home often have what psychologist Sherry Turkle calls sacred spaces for their relationships. They don't need to see friends every week to maintain closeness. When they do connect, it's intentional, present, meaningful. Quality over quantity isn't just a preference, it's how their relational world is structured. But here's what's fascinating. Our culture has started to pathologize this. We've created an expectation of constant availability. Social media has turned friendship into a performance of connection. The tagged photos, the comment threads, the proof that you were there. For people who love staying home, this feels backward. Connection shouldn't require documentation. Friendship shouldn't demand constant maintenance. And love certainly shouldn't be measured in frequency of interaction. They are often the friends who disappear for weeks, then show up completely present when it matters. The ones who remember everything you told them 3 months ago. The ones who would drive through the night if you called in crisis, even though they turned down your party last weekend. But the world judges them by attendance, not depth. The creativity incubator. Let's talk about what happens in the mind when it's left alone. There's a reason so many artists, writers, composers, and thinkers throughout history have been known for their solitary habits. Virginia Woolf wrote about needing a room of one's own. Beethoven took long, solitary walks. Emily Dickinson rarely left her house. Nikola Tesla worked in isolation. This isn't coincidence. It's necessity. Creativity requires space. Not just physical space, but psychological space. Space for ideas to form without being spoken aloud prematurely. Space for connections to emerge between disparate thoughts. Space for the unconscious mind to work its magic. Neuroscientist Marcus Raichelle's research on the default mode network reveals that our most creative insights don't come when we are actively focused on a problem. They come during what he calls constructive internal reflection. Those moments when we are staring out the window, taking a shower, lying in bed before sleep. People who love staying home have built their lives around protecting these moments. They are not avoiding productivity. They are creating the conditions where their deepest, most original work can emerge. But here's the cultural tension. We live in a world that values busyness, visible achievement, constant engagement. The person who stays home and spends 6 hours lost in their creative work doesn't get the same recognition as the person who attended 3 networking events and posted about it. Yet in 20 years, which one will have created something that matters? The overstimulation threshold. But the truth is, not all of this is choice. Some of it is necessity. We live in a world that's gotten exponentially more stimulating in just a few decades. The average person sees more advertisements in a day than someone in the 1970s saw in a month. We are bombarded with notifications, news alerts, social media updates, marketing messages. Our cities are louder. Our social spaces are more crowded. Everything is brighter, faster, more. For some people, this is energizing. For others, it's overwhelming. Research on sensory processing sensitivity shows that about 20–30% of the population has a nervous system that's more responsive to stimuli. They don't just notice more, they feel more. The fluorescent lights give them headaches. The background music in stores feels intrusive. The emotional energy in a crowded room is palpable, draining. These aren't weaknesses. They are differences in neurological wiring. And for people with this wiring, staying home isn't preference, it's self-preservation. Their home becomes a carefully curated environment where they can control the stimulation. Soft lighting, comfortable silence, familiar smells, predictable routines. It's not a prison. It's a sanctuary from a world that's too much, too fast, too loud. And maybe that's the real question we should be asking. Not, why do these people love staying home? But, what has happened to our world that staying home has become necessary for psychological survival? The long game. Here's what society gets wrong. It assumes that people who love staying home are somehow stuck. That they are missing out on life experience, on growth, on the richness of human existence. But look at the research on well-being, and you'll find something surprising. Studies on happiness consistently show that life satisfaction doesn't correlate with number of social interactions, but with quality of relationships, with sense of purpose, with feeling authentic, with having control over one's time and energy. People who love staying home often score high on all these metrics. They've built lives around their actual values rather than society's expectations. They've prioritized depth over breadth. They've chosen meaning over performance. And when you look at them over the long term, many of them aren't behind. They're ahead. They're the ones who have written the novel, built the business, mastered the craft, cultivated the inner life that sustains them when external circumstances change. They're the ones who didn't burn out in their 30s from trying to maintain a social life their nervous system couldn't support. They're the ones who know themselves deeply because they've spent time with themselves. But here's what's important to understand. This path isn't for everyone, and it doesn't have to be. The person who finds joy in constant social connection, who thrives on external stimulation, who feels most alive in crowds and conversation, that person is living their truth. And it's beautiful. The problem isn't difference. The problem is the hierarchy we've created around it. The assumption that extroversion is healthy and introversion is something to overcome. That going out is living and staying in is hiding. The validation. So if you are someone who loves staying home, if you felt the judgment, the misunderstanding, the constant pressure to be someone you are not, here's what you need to hear. You are not broken. You are not antisocial for needing solitude. You are not boring for choosing depth over distraction. You are not missing out because your version of a good time looks different from someone else's. You are someone who's figured out what you need to feel alive, and you've had the courage to choose it even when the world tells you you're wrong. Your quiet evenings aren't empty, they are full of the things that matter to you. Your solitude isn't loneliness, it's the space where you meet yourself. Your home isn't a cage, it's the only place in the world where you are completely free. And maybe, just maybe, you've discovered something the rest of the world is still learning. That the richest experiences in life don't always require leaving home. That meaning doesn't need witnesses. That joy doesn't need documentation. That sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is turn down the invitation and choose yourself instead. There's a reason you love staying home. It's not because you're afraid of the world. It's because you found something the world can't give you. You found the space to hear your own thoughts. To feel your own feelings without filtering them through someone else's expectations. To build something. A creative work, an inner life, a sense of self, that requires protection from the constant demands of a world that wants to pull you in every direction. In a culture that mistakes busyness for importance, noise for vitality, and constant connection for relationship, you've chosen something radical: stillness. And in that stillness, you are not doing nothing. You are doing everything that matters. So the next time someone asks why you love staying home, you don't owe them an explanation. But if you want to give one, here it is. Because home is where you are most alive. Most yourself.